Hello, everybody. Welcome to Raising Vibrations, and you with Simon today. And in today's video, we're going to be looking at Venus in Leo. And this is for the transit of the month of September in 2020 and for the first 2 days in October 2020. So there's a couple of reasons why I felt really inspired to do this video. One, because this is a really important time. Not only because Venus's transit through Leo coincides with Jupiter going direct, Saturn going direct, Mars going retrograde, and if I'm not mistaken, Pluto does go direct at some point in September. I'm not 100% sure, but I vaguely remember reading something like that. So there's quite a lot of energy moving direct and also retrograde during this month, and Venus plays a tremendous amount, or plays a big role in what is those going to mean for us. So first things first, before we jump into this video, if you would like to go read an updated description of this video, I have posted something on Instagram, and you can go check that out. That is on Raising Vibrations' Instagram. You can also where else? If you're on Patreon, we'll post that to Patreon as well. A couple of platforms that you can see this material through. Okay, so what I noticed was that, so I went onto the internet and looked around to see, who are posting Venus and Leo videos, and I saw that there was a lot of Venus and Leo energy, like information coming out, but one thing was really missing. And so that's what's really at the core of this message today. That's what the core of this video today. And here's how I'm going to try and support everybody, including myself, through this transit. First things first, this transit is not about like happiness and joy and creativity and spontaneity and money's going to come into your land. It is not, okay? There can be, and there will be, moments within your emotional and psychological reality in which you will feel like this image that you're looking at, right? The sense of, hey, let's be very creative, let's be innovative, and those will be present. But it is not, I repeat, it is not a month that is going to be filled with just the classic kind of Leo energy of creative self-actualization. It's not. There is going to be a tremendous amount of experiences where wounds are going to come up to the surface that are very primal and are very much related to the early life experiences where you as a child were not able to be mirrored by the parent, and that mirroring effect has created the psychological impact and effect of not being seen, okay? A sense of not being seen, a sense of being misunderstood, a sense of feeling like you are invisible, okay? So this is the context here, and I feel like it's really important to kind of really just go straight to it, take away the fluff, take away the illusions, take away the softness and the kind of keeping us in this docile state, but to really actually see that this energy, this Venus and Leo transit, although it's going to, my experience of it in terms of what I see is it's going to give us the strength and the capacity that this child needs to muster up as he wants to jump into the water and experience something really, really exciting, but needs to cross the threshold of his own insecurities, his own fears, and his own feelings of, just doing something completely alone, away from the parent in a very unsafe way. Okay, so let me get into this. This month with Venus transiting through Leo, and I'm going to show you the aspects, is about growing up. Okay, it is about really, really taking the time to understand that you are and have the capacity to be responsible for your life. Okay, And that when we fully comprehend this, when we fully understand this, we start to break away psychological patterns of codependency. We break away psychological and emotional patterns of people pleasing. We begin to take charge of our life. We begin to see that we are the guardians of our own destiny, that we are our own counsel, and we are the ones that direct the ship. Okay. This transit also coincides with our relationship to external authority figures, to which the experience of being mirrored back by them is not present, it is not available, and it will create a psychological and emotional dysregulation in you, in which you fear and feel like your voice doesn't matter, doesn't feel like it's being heard. And this will create a sense of in deep isolation and aloneness. It will create deep states of childlike behavior, in which a natural reaction will look like temper tantrums or so my message to you today in this video is that in order to check in with yourself during this month around being able to not experience more traumatizing conflicts and arguments and separations between people that you like or not, or triggers that will show up where you feel unheard, unseen, unacknowledged, in order to prevent these experiences from happening to the extreme, we have to internalize our sense of our sense of security. We have to internalize our sense of perception of our own reality, and we need to internalize our validation of ourselves. No more externalizing it. No more externalizing the need for approval from other people, or for the need of approval outside, if you are very connected with what it is that is going on in your life. So this Venus and Leo transit is giving us the opportunity to truly, it's going to push people into a space in which the alternative is to completely become the child and just be dependent on the parent, or to individuate from the experience and say, this is my experience, I need to talk about it, this is the actions, and I need to take charge of my life. So in a sense, the positiveness, the potential from this is to take charge of your life, to really say, these are my dreams, this is my desire, this is what I'm going to do, and I have the capacity to influence that. Okay, so that's the end result. So let's look at the chart of the transits that will be activating Leo Venus during its transit through Leo. Okay. So let's have a look at, firstly, let's go look here. Okay, so on the 10th of September, all right, Venus will be at 3 degrees of Leo, all right? And as you can see over here, Venus will be trining Chiron, all right? And we still have this ongoing square between Mars and Saturn, Mars and Pluto, which is, of course, bringing to the surface a tremendous amount of primal transformation within our reality, and we're more prone to responding to the experiences or reacting to situations. Like the tension's very high at the moment with this Mars-Pluto aspect, especially in the constellation Capricorn, which is about restriction, and Aries, which is about freedom. So you can see in Australia at the moment, there's a tremendous amount of this occurring. I mean, it's so visceral in Melbourne, where people are feeling the intensity of being deeply controlled and censored by public figures in that sense, or at least with the governmental structure. And this energy over here is feels like a pressure cooker. So what has that got to do with Venus and Leo? And it has to do with the fact that this Chiron aspect between Venus and Leo is going to reveal to us, this trine is going to reveal to us where we have experienced narcissistic injury as children, okay, and within the family structure. And I'll go on to talk about that a little bit later. So Venus trining Chiron will bring to us where we have somatic and very visceral experiences of not being mirrored correctly as a child, or let's just say mirrored. And so parts of your emotional identity are still stuck in an adolescent stage, and Chiron is wanting to work through all unconscious and conscious attachments that we have toward, and behaviorisms we have towards needing other people to validate our reality and to basically put our power outside of ourselves. Okay. So Chiron will bring this to us. It's a trine, so we'll have some insights around this. We may have an experience where we are not seen in some way. And so what we will need to recognize is that freedom is the potential to internalize our sense of security. So that trine is about really, really feeling the importance of validating your reality. Okay, like really meeting your emotional needs in that sense. Now, that trine is very, very important to this transit, because from then onwards, this trine will then continue, as you can see. But as you notice, Mars goes retrograde. So we're now internally experiencing things. So we're going to become very internal in our actions. Mars is going to create the dynamic of feeling like we're lacking energy, that we can't move, and so on. And Venus at 6 degrees, and this is on the 12th of September, as you can see at the top there, it will square Uranus in Taurus. Now, the natural aspect between Leo and Taurus is where we, as children, need for our survival needs and for us to be able to develop a core sense of self, we need to be able to have experiences, or our psyche needs to have experiences from our caregivers, Capricorn, that reflects the reality that we're experiencing. So if a child gets hurt, for instance, mirroring from the parent will look like a facial expression that seems sad, genuinely sad for the child. It will say that the parent will respond with, "Hey, that looks very, very painful," like acknowledging through reflection that is painful, and then saying, "Here's what I think we could do about this," or "Here's what we were going to do about it." We as a collective, I would say at least 65% of us did not get that in some way, shape, or form. Okay. And so when we progressively experience those dynamics through unconscious patterns, or through the lack of those skill sets being available to our parents and their parents, and generations of nonsense is going on, we are left with consistent experiences where our sense of self was not validated. And so the integration of our actual physical self between the ages of 0 and 7 are not constellated in a way that we can feel organic and natural in this process. Right? As in, we can't really, that lack of validation for us really impacted the way, or left a deficiency where we have that in our relationships. So you can be saying something to somebody and their facial expression gives an impression that doesn't seem that you're being heard or seen, and that's going to create a trigger response. And you might actually then start, the outer critic will come out, or the inner critic will come out, whichever one, and you'll find yourself being emotionally dysregulated by it. And again, this video is to help you move through this month and not get as emotionally affected by it, but just see it when it's showing up and saying, okay, here's where I need to just internalize my security. Although I may not be actually being seen by this person, I am still an adult. I can still give that unseen child the care or the needs that it needs. And that is the process of individuation that Venus wants to offer us here. So there's a profound gift, but it's not going to come through some magical fairy tale that's going to be delivering it in a scroll with stars around it. And a prince charming or a princess. It is you showing up for yourself and recognizing and seeing that power in you. Okay, so that's that. So that's that Venus square Uranus aspect is going to bring to the surface material that needs to be liberated from. So you're going to be sensitive to the core wound that we all collectively experience, and you need to detach the emotion and begin working on that core invalidation process. And I talk about it in my Saturn course, how to process through those things. For those of you that are still interested or wanting to understand more about it, this is the type of material that I do in the work. Okay. So Venus will continue to keep squaring Uranus, and so we'll be getting sudden like insights, sudden shocks, sudden accelerated experiences where we can liberate from them. And this will happen from the 10th or from the 12th up until around about, let's see how long this thing goes on for. It's actually quite a while. It will be let's actually move back here. Okay, there's the finger of God, experience between Pluto and Neptune. Let's move back one. Okay. So the 18th of September, we will have, from the 12th up till the 18th, we'll have this continued experience. And you need to be applying the wisdom of Chiron. Chiron is saying, break out of it, objectify it. Do not regress to the child. I've posted on previous videos, and I'll post it in this one, emotional flashback. Understand how to deal with the emotional flashback when you feel like you're not being seen. Because Uranus and Chiron are working together to liberate ourselves from this unapproved, unseen, unvalidated child that we all carry within ourselves. Okay. Now we're going to move on, and we're going to have our first inconjunct on the 20th of September. Venus is going to inconjunct, as you see, Jupiter, and still at the moment it's got the square to Taurus, and it's got the trine to Chiron. So this aspect, this inconjunct, is a blind spot. And what it's saying is we need to make an adjustment. And the adjustment is around the experiences that you've had with Uranus and Venus and the experiences you had with Chiron. They have all brought us some moments of clarity, some moments of change. And when the inconjunct takes place between Venus at 15 and Jupiter at 17, a Capricorn Leo, we will need to learn two things. One, you need to change your philosophical structure. So there's going to be a crisis that will lead to an adjustment, and the adjustment and the crisis will be around old, outdated beliefs that no longer are rooted in the truth of the moment, and the need to shift out of those belief patterns. Okay, and they will usually look like some form of belief or truth that is a protection mechanism or a coping mechanism or a defense mechanism around the unseen, unrecognized part of yourself. So you need to check in with what belief or script you're running that keeps you in this kind of state of being unseen, all right, whatever that looks like. Mine will look like people don't care or people are not considerate, right? That's what I experienced when I was a child. My parents were not considerate. They didn't care. And I experienced a lot of that. So I've had to work through this belief that people are not considerate, right? Of me, let me put it to you that way, okay? So that will be that aspect, and you'll just need to work through it. It's emotionally, it's going to be a little bit challenging, of course, but in terms of moving forward from this process, the language you say is, I'm an adult, I am in control of my life, I have the ability to validate my reality for myself, I do not need to have outside approval to say what is correct for me or not. And collectively, what we will experience is more control and domination come in place. So this Venus transit is helping us individuate from the codependency that we have towards authority and this nonsense thing about we need to respect it. And I'm not advocating going out and being an anarchist. I'm saying understand that part of this time that we're living in is to internalize your own security. All right, so that you don't trade your security, your authenticity for security. Okay, so let's move on. And then you'll see the finger of God take place between Neptune and Jupiter. And what Neptune will do is it will bring to the surface the need to step into healing your grief. Healing, and you can see there's a lot of trines. Look at this. Uranus is trining Jupiter. Venus is trining Chiron, Venus is trining Mars in a very early trine. So there's a lot of trine energy at the moment on the 22nd of July, 22nd of September, that says to us, this is the opportunity to grieve the inner child, go back to those states, give it attention, give it love, do not shout at it, allow yourself to feel the sadness that comes up when these experiences have been with you, and just move through it, just feel through it, okay? Just acknowledge those processes. and wash away, using that Neptune energy, wash away the sadness, or internalize the sadness and allow it to be the vehicle for being able to be there more for your child in yourself, as you individuate, as you step into adulthood. Okay. Then that aspect will take place, and then you've got the big daddy of all of them, right? This is the big deal, right? Venus 21 degrees in conjunct Pluto. And Pluto is saying, okay, you've done all of this type of stuff. Now meet the final dragon, right? You're the hero in your journey. And Pluto's going to say, it's time to let go of that process. It's time to emotionally go through an emotional experience that liberates you from, or cuts off, the attachment to the need for the external savior, for the external provider. Stop believing in the government feeling like they are going to save you. You are here to save yourself. You are here to save your process in here. And when you start to validate what is correct for you, you will start to make decisions that support your community, whatever it means to you. But you are here to internalize your own parent. And that's what Pluto's suggestion will be like. This is it, the end of the line. You either empower yourself here, or you trade your security for your authenticity for security. End of. And it will look like an invitation to really, 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 really get to the core of what it is that really impacted you when you were growing up. This is all about childhood. So really sit with yourself and honestly acknowledge the things that have been there. And now, if for some of you that might be too traumatic, that might be too triggering. So I encourage you, with this Pluto aspect and during this season, to find somebody that you can really have an honest and open and safe space conversation with, so that you can acknowledge these things in a way in which your body doesn't feel like there is fire all over you and around you. Okay. Now that aspect will occur, will make a transformation, and then Saturn and Venus will make an inconjunct, and that's when you actually begin to define your reality for yourself. Now, that reality, that Venus Saturn, will look like making new choices, because as you see, Venus is now going to trine Mars completely. And in this aspect, this is where we begin to shift our limitations to freedom, as in we are letting go of psychological and emotional attachments, to the need to be rescued, to the need to be seen, to the need to be validated, and we internalize that process, and we start seeing what types of choices and actions we want to actually make for our life going forward. We're starting to redefine our sense of security and safety. Okay, so that happens, and then as you can see, that trine just continues to take place, and then Venus enters Virgo on the 3rd of October. Okay. So that's the transits. That's a super clear message. I really hope you got a lot of value out of this. And what I'm going to do now is just switch to another screen and just talk a little bit about this from a more collective perspective. Okay, so I'll do that now. Okay, so this image over here is what I want you to hold in your mind's eye for the month of September. Okay, I want you to really, really connect with this image. I want you to use it as the projection field for your own experience. Use this image to hold the essence of what September is for you. And this is about the acknowledgement that for a lot of people, okay, the emotional reflection as a child that is needed by the parent to support, strengthen, and solidify the child's sense of reality and orientation was absent. And part of that is because that wasn't available to our parents, and part of it is because the societal structures lacked the value structure, and the system just didn't have this type of mechanism in place for a tremendous amount of people. And so as a natural byproduct, we are all having to deal with some aspect of our narcissistic injury, which is the family dynamic of where we are unable to be mirrored in the way that would support and strengthen our ability to feel safe and secure. And so the parts of our identity have splintered off in order for us to deal with it. And so less and less of the time, well, more of these experiences would occur throughout your childhood, and you'd become less and less connected to your authentic self. And so you would become more of a reflection of coping mechanisms and reaction responses and attuned emotional attachments that, like in my case, for instance, just highly vigilant as a child, tuning into my parents' needs so I could know how to meet them, so I could feel safe in that experience. So this is what we're doing. We're reparenting ourselves at this point in time. And this is a very important thing, because once you actually begin to sow the relationship between your child and the fact that you have this internal parent within you, that you get to choose this thing, then you will start to see that life will offer, you can take charge more of your life. Okay. So this is the opportunity for creative self-actualization. Okay. All right, everybody, have an amazing day and evening. And I really hope that this brought you value. Take care. Bye-bye.